Hey guys, welcome to GameBed. Today we're bringing out a video for our movie weapons series, and today we'll be covering the M4A1 Carbine, used mainly by Neil, played by Robert Pattinson, in the 2020 movie Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan. So this movie came out in theaters, I believe it was just about a year ago now, last summer, at the end of last summer in 2020, starring Robert Pattinson as the character Neil, which we're mainly covering here today, as well as John David Washington as the main character, the protagonist, who also carries similar weapons throughout the movie. So we'll go ahead and build this weapon from scratch. Mainly this is used by Robert Pattinson's character Neil in the final battle scene at Stralsk 12. However, it is used in the opening siege at the Opera. So go ahead and back out here and we'll take a look at the final design for the M4A1 used by Neil, or Robert Pattinson's character. So what I'll do is strip this down to base and we'll go ahead and build this thing up from scratch. So I'm going to start with the Thunderclap blueprint. I think this is the cleanest build that you can get here in the game to really replicate this M4A1. Now we're going to take some minor liberties here, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. But again, this blueprint gives us the black lower receiver, black pistol grip, black Stenag mag, the black SAUT mod buttstock, everything we really want there. So it's really perfect. We'll go ahead and use this one. This is the cleanest black camouflage version that we can get in game. So for the barrel attachment is going to be the first option in the movie. On this, mainly we're replicating, like I said, Neil's build or Robert Pattinson's build at the final battle at Stralsk 12. So in that battle scene, he's running an M4A1 Carbine with no muzzle attachment there, so he just has the standard flash hider that comes on the M4A1. For the barrel attachment, we're going to want the 14.5-inch tack light barrel. That's going to assist with the ADS speed and the bullet velocity, but we're going to want the Task Force variant of this, because in the film, obviously, the M4A1 Carbine has that front sight post with the gas block, which is still equipped. However, here, we don't have the same gas block, and that we have a flip-up front sight post. But this is as close as we're going to get to that build. So we're going to go ahead and select the FFS 14.5-inch for the Task Force build. The only issue here, which we'll review here in a second when we get through this build. But next up, we're going to want a tack laser. So in the film, in the final battle, Neil does utilize a black PEC 15. It looks like. So the pros here: ADS speed, aim instability, aim down, air aim walking steadiness. Cons are the laser is visible to enemies. In the film, he's using a black variant of the PEC 15. So you can see the different versions here. We can go ahead and select these different ones. So any of these darker ones I think are good. We want to stay away from the tan versions of this, but I think something like the XRK one we can go with for this purpose. I think it matches more so with the Thunderclap blueprint itself. So we'll select that. And again, on the film, it's actually located on the right-hand Picatinny rail. However, we can't put the optic on different rails. It's just stuck on the top Picatinny rail here. And we have the rail covers on this version of the handguard, so that kind of takes away from, otherwise it'd be almost exact to the film. But we'll go ahead and put that Picatinny, or the PEC 15, on the top Picatinny rail. Now for the optic here, in the film, it looks like he's using an LCAN or maybe even a Trigicon ACOG sight, which we don't have an ACOG in game. So I was thinking about going with the Leopold Hammer, which would be kind of a closer variant. But I ended up going with the Scout Combat Optic as an LCAN optic here. Looks very similar to what he's using in the movie. Again, in that final battle scene, I can't tell if it's an LCAM or a Trigicon. I didn't really get the best look at it. However, we'll go with this. This kind of is the closest match I believe we can get to this. And you have some different versions here. We'll go with just the base one. That'll give us the closest representation to how it is in the movie. This will give us that 3.25 zoom, as well as the cons of the ADS speed. But again, we have that tack laser on there, so we'll be fine. Now for the buttstock, we have the standard M4A1 buttstock option. So we're going to want the Forge Tac CQS buttstock. That'll help us with the aim down sight speed. Cons be the aim and stability. Now again, this in the film matches the all black variant of the M4 that he's using. So the best one I have for this out of all of these options is going to be the Abandoned blueprint. Gives us a nice dark black version of the buttstock here for the M4A1. Again, nice clean black finish, matches with the Thunderclap perfectly. So we'll select that. And the final attachment, we'll skip out on the perk, the rear grip, as well as the ammunition. In the film, he is using a black Stenag mag, not a P mag. It is a black Stenag mag. So it matches perfectly. Underbarrel attachment, we're going to go ahead and run the Ranger foregrip, just the base variant here as a default. You have obviously the Magpul RVG as the War Pig, as well as a Task Force, but we're going to go ahead and run just the standard default Ranger foregrip. That'll give us the recoil control and the aim and stability, the cons of the aim walking movement speed, and the aim down sight speed. So we'll go ahead and select that, and this is our final variant of the M4A1 used by Neil, or Robert Pattinson's character, in that final battle sequence at Stralsk 12. So really nice looking weapon here. Again, we're matching it pretty closely to the film. The only difference is we have the different front sight post with the gas block that is not the same as in the movie, as well as we have the rail covers here, which are tan, which take away from the black finish of the weapon. We can't mount the PEC 15 on the right-hand rail. It'll only mount on that rail with one of the other barrel attachments, which just doesn't fit this build. So we'll have to settle with it there. Again, it looks fine, though. I did play around with putting on different camouflages, so the closest other one you could get would probably be the pinstripe suit you could put on there. However, I think it's just a little bit too light. Doesn't have that clean black finish like he uses in the movie. So the rail covers on there I actually think looks better. Everything else is clean, dark black finish. And again, it looks really, really nice there. Really matches up almost perfectly with what he's using in the movie for the M4A1 Carbine. So we'll go ahead. We'll back out for our operator selection here. Now, Neil in the final, as well as all the soldiers on the protagonist side for Neil and the protagonist, use very specific gear here, which is very hard to find the right one. However, I found one that I settled with here that I think is probably one of the closest. We can look at a few here really quickly. So the KREUGER skin for the Purge, I think, is going to be the closest we can get to what we have here as Neil using and the protagonist in this final battle scene for our protagonist team. So you can see here, it's obviously not an exact match. However, it's pretty close. We have the gas mask. The helmet is slightly different, obviously, but the overall gear and camouflage still look relatively close to what they're utilizing in that final battle at Stralsk 12. Now, that's one option here. This is what I'm going to be using in the gameplay. Again, I think this matches as close as you're going to get to in the movie. However, there's one other option we'll look at for this, but first, before we back out to Warzone to look at that skin, I wanted to look at one other option. So in the opening Opera Siege, we do see M4A1 carbines, and again, that's being used, if we go ahead here, by the Balkan Special Forces. Now, these are named Balkan Special Forces as they are Balkan Special Forces. However, in the movie, they're using almost this exact same gear in that opening sequence where they storm into the Opera House as the Rapid Operation Response Unit, or the Ukrainian Cord Unit, which is Special Police Unit, which is basically military police. It's the same thing as like the FSB, Russian FSB police units, things like that. The Cord Unit uses in the movie, at least, almost the exact same outfits that we see here, minus the face gear. They do have gas masks on. So if we could just swap it with a gas mask, this would be perfect for that opening scene at the Opera Siege. The writing on the back, basically saying police, is almost the exact same. I think, obviously, this is just slightly different than what's seen in the film, but again, this is really close to what you'll see in the film. So back out now, one more close second to what Neil and the protagonist everybody's using. So obviously we have KREUGER's skin here, which we're going to go with, but there is one more close second that I just want to touch on before we jump into the gameplay. So if I go ahead and back out, and we'll switch over to Warzone really quickly, and what we'll do is take a look at our bundles here for our Cold War bundles, and I'll show you why this is a pretty close option, however, not the best one. So if we look at our FARA 83, and we go to the store options here, the homegrown is the one we want to look at. The operator that comes with this for homegrown is the Cushwacked. So you can see there, it's actually relatively kind of close to what they're using, but not really, and obviously just all the green marijuana leaves take away from it, as well as the gas mask just having smoke in it takes away from it. But this is definitely one option if you wanted to try and replicate Neil from that final battle at Stralsk 12, excuse me. You can go ahead and buy that bundle. However, I think, like I said, I think we've gotten pretty close with it with the operator that we chose here for KREUGER. So just going back to Modern Warfare, you can see what the operator with the M4A1 Carbine looks like. Again, very similar to Neil or Robert Pattinson's character in Tenet. So go ahead, back one more look at the weapon before we jump into the gameplay here. Here is the final design for the M4A1 Carbine, utilizing all the attachments that we went over. Again, really nice looking weapon, and again, pretty spot on match. So jumping into the gameplay, we're just using this on Euphrates Bridge. And again, this is actually probably the closest Modern Warfare map, at least, to match the type of environment that they're fighting at Stralsk 12 at the end battle scene there. And again, Neil's character, I won't get in too much to the plot itself, because this is one of those movies that you really need to watch. You need to watch it multiple times. But again, this was directed by Christopher Nolan, came out in 2020, and it was received to kind of mixed reviews, unfortunately. Now, I did see this in theaters twice, and I honestly loved this movie. It was one of those movies, the first time I watched it, I left the theater and my reaction, my girlfriend and I we had the same reaction, was that movie was amazing and I loved it, but I have no idea what was happening the whole entire time. So it's one of those movies, Christopher Nolan, again, if you ever saw Inception, this I think makes you think a lot harder than Inception. Inception kind of lays everything out for you. Tenet really makes you have to think and pay attention, and again, this is a movie that you need to watch multiple times. I saw it twice in theaters, and I haven't seen it since, but I'm going to go back and rewatch it a few more times. It's definitely one of those movies that you come out of, and you need to really think and reflect on it, and go back and see it again, and just try and really dissect the plot and really what's happening. And what a really good movie. First off, the action sequences in the movie itself are amazing. So the two stars here, obviously the protagonist played by John David Washington, as well as Robert Pattinson as Neil, just did a great job in all the action sequences. We had a lot of good gunfights here. The opening siege of the Opera House, as well as that end battle at Strelsk 12, was just an awesome gunfight scenes. The gear they used, the training, everything like that. Everyone looks tactically like they belong in this type of environment. Again, a very, very good movie, kind of following the protagonist on this journey of espionage to, without spoiling anything, basically stop a plot to end the world and the civilization as we know it. So that's really all I can give to you without kind of giving away spoilers. But definitely, if you liked Inception, Tenet really takes that to a whole new level. So that's I can't give you any more of a plot synopsis than that. Other than that, you really need to go watch it and watch it a few times. I know it's on HBO, as well as Prime Video. So if you guys have HBO streaming services as well as Prime, you can go ahead and watch it on there for free right now. And again, it came out last summer. Mixed reviews, however, this is just an overall really, really good and fun movie. I had a lot of fun watching this in theaters, even though the first time, like I said, I really had no idea what was happening. But the action sequences, the acting, everything's really great. And this movie, again, covering Neil as the main character for this particular video, played by Robert Pattinson, really made me come away with a new appreciation for Robert Pattinson as an actor. So Robert Pattinson, if you're not familiar, known mainly for the Twilight movies, and I think he got a bad rap, including myself before seeing this movie, always associated Robert Pattinson with Twilight and just negative, bad acting, all of that. Growing up, I was in college at the time those movies were coming out, I think. Maybe I was finishing high school and the first one came out, but again, just associating Robert Pattinson with Twilight. So I always had that idea that he was just a bad actor who was in that vampire movie. That's what I associated him with. And coming out of Tenet, I had a completely renewed evaluation. I had to go back and just say, wow, this guy's a really good actor. He did an outstanding job in the movie Tenet, and I'm really looking forward to his Batman now that I've seen him in Tenet. I think I was really, honestly, I didn't even know he was in the movie before I saw him in the movie on my first viewing, and he just did an outstanding job with all the action sequences, the action. Really made me have a new appreciation for Robert Pattinson as an actor, kind of wiping away that association I had with him previously for the Twilight films. So I'm a big fan of Robert Pattinson now going forward. Pretty excited to see what he does with the Batman film as well as other movies. Let me know down below what you guys think of the movie Tenet. What do you think of Robert Pattinson's character Neil, as well as this M4A1 build that we see him utilize in that final battle at Strelsk 12, as well as we see the M4A1 pop up a few other times in the movies, mainly, like we discussed there, in that opening siege at the Opera House. So let me know down below what you guys think of that. I have my social media links located down below for Instagram and Twitter. Those are the best places to get a hold of me if you have anything. I usually answer all my messages there. I try to get it daily to answer them. So if you do have a question, you want to get a hold of me directly, those are the two best places to get a hold of me. I will answer you back. As well as we have the Discord link down below, so you can go ahead and check that out. You can also talk to me over there on the Discord. We have a really good community there that pretty much self-manages themselves. We have a lot of good, interesting channels there for weapons, weapon customization, different military type things. Really good channel, really good community. So if you're interested in joining the Discord, the link is also down below in the description. So if you're liking the content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Helps out smaller channels like myself, and we're trying to get to that 30,000 mark here very soon as we're approaching. So probably do some sort of giveaway when we get up to the 30,000 subscriber mark, as well as we have Battlefield 2042 on the horizon. So that'll be a lot of fun. Give you guys some finally able to bring you guys some Battlefield gameplay. So let me know down below what you guys think. If you have any other suggestions for the movie weapon series, go ahead and leave it down below. I'll leave you guys with that. Till next time, this is Buckner Gaming with Neil's M4A1 from the final battle of Tenet at Strelsk 12. Till next time, Buffer Gaming, out.